Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Let's get this show started. I hear through the grapevine that Centennial College might be in the house today. Welcome, everybody. And that's the other part. Get your group, get your office, get your dental office, your lawyers. Everybody is welcome in the studio here at the Social. Yeah. Everybody is welcome. We'd like to welcome to the show, speaking of, comedian and actor Miguel Rivas is back.
Hello, thanks for having me. Hello.
And scholar Riley Yesno, also back on the panel today. Welcome.
Thank you. Good stuff.
Okay, we're going to start with a very profound question on a Tuesday. Is it Tuesday?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
There's the way. Get the day straight. What does it mean to belong to a culture? Big question. Well, celebrated American-born Canadian author Thomas King, who spent his entire career telling Indigenous stories, revealed in a Globe and Mail essay recently that he is, in fact, not Indigenous. The 82-year-old author said his mother told him his father was part Cherokee. He learned that when he was just 3 years old. But after recently hearing rumors that were questioning his Indigenous heritage, he decided to dig into it more and was discovered and made the discovery himself that, in fact, he is not Indigenous. So King says that he has nothing to apologize for and that he did not purposely pretend to have Indigenous roots. So we're going to all have reaction to the story. I'm sure you're thinking about it as well. Riley, what's your reaction when you heard the story?
Not again. I know. I'm
Here
exhausted.
we go again.
I'm exhausted. Yeah. I believe it was not too long ago we were here talking about this with Buffy St. Marie.
Yes.
And, you know, just so many examples. And this is one that I had also heard rumors about for years and years and years. And so it is, you know, dubious to me that it's like, I've been hearing about it for years. Yeah. Why now are we doing this? But like more than anything to me, like I feel like it's just another iteration of a common misconception that like family lore does not equal peoplehood. Like, that does not equal identity. And in the article, he details that that's really what he was going on, is he believed. And I also take real issue with the idea that, like, I didn't mean to do anything wrong, and so I'm not going to be apologizing for this. You know, intention is not over impact. Impact is what you did. Yeah. Impact is what you have to apologize for, regardless of your intentions. And what your impact was is that you took a lot of money, a lot of positions, a lot of story away from people, even if it was not intentional. And apparently they're going on to publish his next book still, regardless his of this coming out. With him. Right? And so I think that there's a lot here that has to be reckoned with that article doesn't do necessarily a great job with. But my God, am I tired of talking about pretendians.
May I ask you a question? Because identity, I mean, listen, especially when it comes to Indigenous cultures, you know, there's something here I want to point out the obvious. I don't know if we have a picture of Thomas King, but if you look at him, and certainly when he shows pictures of him when he was young, he and his brother do look very different when they're little boys compared to the rest of the kids in the family. So he was probably from a young age thinking, well, what was the reason to question? We certainly, I hate to use this, look potentially Indigenous. So where does the idea that maybe he, you know, this is Thomas King probably more currently, recent, I would. So, I mean, not to say that, okay, well, I look it, therefore I must be it, but where do you think things could have gone differently for the better if he was thinking, well, what are these rumors and what about the way I look and should I look into this further? Was this incumbent on him?
I mean, as a child, I think is a very different position than as an adult. As an adult, and especially an adult with the immense resources and access and privilege that he had, I think that that's where there was an obligation probably to do this before he was 82 years old. However, I do think that you're touching on something that I think is at the heart of why a lot of people claim this false identity, which is like this sense, and we were just talking about this backstage, of wanting to belong to something. And also this sense of grief, of like feeling like you don't belong somewhere. A feeling like perhaps you're complicit in colonialism. What's a way to not have to deal with this grief? Well, what if I'm on the receiving end of colonial harm? I think that there's a lot of psychological, you know, theory that goes behind why people do this that doesn't, you know, justify it, but does explain perhaps why this is, you know, such a phenomenon that we're seeing in Canada and elsewhere.
I think it speaks to like this question of whether or not it's time to grieve or time to assign responsibility to an individual like Thomas King, you know? Because obviously his own personal identity is a struggle that we all deal with in different cultures, especially in a place like Canada where you can feel divorced. My name is Miguel Rivas. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, for instance. And
no bueno.
No bueno. Yeah. Say vraiment grave. Wait, that's wrong. Obviously, we all have to go through that journey, and maybe it will take you till you're 82 years old. But there's something different when you make it your career and identity.
When you profit off of it.
Profit off of it. It feels like it can potentially, I don't want to speak, I don't know all of the details of every single person's experience, but it feels like willful neglect at some point, doesn't it?
You know what?
You just don't want to look into it.
Or especially when you think about what his career entailed. If you're an author of fiction and nonfiction, you know the number one thing you have to do? Research. If you're going to be a professor, which he was at a university, you know what you have to do? Research. So tell me, in this very long, illustrious, very successful career with all this research, you never thought to research your own family, your own ties? And obviously, it wasn't a hard find because a genealogist at TAAF found the information. So it's not like you couldn't find the information, but I also want to give him a little bit of grace because he's 82 years old, and I'm thinking maybe that when his mother passes information on to him and his brothers, like, yeah, you guys are part Cherokee, which, by the way, who doesn't have a friend who's pretended to be connected to the Indigenous community? I have about 20. Everybody's got a little bit of Cherokee in them. But I think when he knew he was going to make money off of it, that's when I question if he why didn't you do the work? Because why wouldn't that be part of your work? If I say I'm from something and I'm going to write a book, it would be incumbent on me to also connect myself and let the audience know, hey, this is who I am. This is where I come from, and I did the work, and this is also my story. And he never thought to do that.
He did a little bit. He talks about this in the article.
But not enough.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's timing, and maybe it's better technology. So the story that he says in the article, which we can choose to believe or not believe, is that, again, his mother told him and his brother when they were young, your father is part Cherokee. He then does revisit this, and he actually goes and talks to his aunt because he's having these weird, like, something doesn't feel right. I need to get more information. And then he finds out that the man that he thought was his biological father was not. And then finds out there was another man with the last name Hunt, and that the aunt said, but he for sure was Cherokee. So he did do the work.
But he's going off hearsay and not fact,
but he does say, and I don't know if you can speak to this.
My aunt says a lot of stuff.
No, but the point is, hold on. He addresses it. He said there is an oral history of lineage in my family. Now, to what extent we believe that? He said there was the oral history of my history, and now we're going back into the turn of the century. I mean, this is not what you can
And we're also going through
right?
the
I'm not trying to defend him. I'm saying he does address how he was
a little bit, but not enough.
Indigenous histories were destroyed so many times over, right? A lot of genealogy is unclear in those communities, and so there has to be some understanding in how, wrestling with what those communities have gone through as they look at history. But again, it's forefronting yourself, I think, that maybe presents the challenge now in hearing about it.
He's wrestling with this. I don't think the story's done. No. I don't think it's done.
The worst part is those opportunities and all that money are gone, and we'll never know what could have been for the real Indigenous people who could have benefited from that. And that to me is at the heart of this and the saddest part about it.
If you ever find yourself working with Ryan Reynolds, remember that you simply must disagree with him.
Oh.
Ryan told the Wall Street Journal that he, quote, welcomes dissent on films and that he's screwed if people only agree with the boss. Is this the key to success, is disagreeing with your boss?
Okay, you guys like that? You don't like it? I don't know, it's half and half. Okay, it's a mixed crowd. All right, so this is very interesting because I think when we think about someone who's very successful like a Ryan Reynolds, we'd assume that he would be the type of person on set who'd be like, don't question me, don't you know who I am? I've had lots of success. So it is almost refreshing to hear him say, I welcome a difference of opinion. But it's also very interesting because I just watched this great conversation between Oprah Winfrey, who, you guys might know who she is, very successful talk show, 25 years. She has a sit down with Bishop T.D. Jakes on his new podcast called The Next Chapter, and she talked about one of the key things in her success was making sure that her team was all aligned. So it's interesting that you have one person saying, yeah, I like the dissent, I like the quarrel, and another person saying, listen, in order for my show to work, for us to collect all those Emmys, we had to all be on the same page and heading in the same direction. So I don't know if he's right or if he's just saying this for good clickbait. I don't know.
Miss Winfrey, my synergistic vibrations are off. What should I do?
Listen, she has the 25 years to back it up, so it worked.
I can't deal with either the synergetic vibrations or Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds. Like, the thing is, for me, I have a hard time with Ryan Reynolds. And I'll say, because when I think of heterosexual white man, I think of Ryan Reynolds. And heterosexual...
How dare you?
They have a tendency to say these things that we all know, but say them as like they're a revelation. Like, he's like, you know, people have to disagree with one another. I'm like, water is wet. We know this, Ryan.
This is so crazy. Peanut butter and jelly like work together.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I also feel like there's that energy. You have to be careful with a boss who's like, the door's always open. Come in and say that you don't like what's going on. I'll listen. Come in and talk to me. It's like, is it real? As someone who works on film sets like pretty frequently as an actor, you know, I think that there does have to be a hierarchy of command, you know? It can't be fully democratic. I agree that you want people to collaborate. It's the most collaborative medium, film. And you want to work together. And you don't want to have a thing where people are afraid to speak to you. But you do also need someone to make decisions in the end. You know, so I question like how open he is to, everyone disagree with me. We're all going to figure this out together. It's like, I don't really buy it. I don't know.
Yeah, dissent is one thing, but like, I'm more interested in the idea of like, what does that actually in practice look like? Because like, disagreement can take it can be confrontational, it can be productive.
You can have too many chefs in that kitchen.
Absolutely. So the process really matters, and I think that would have been way more interesting than being like, I love when people tell me no. Like, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our next one. Next up, is it disrespectful to go on a family vacation without inviting any spouses? This, let me tell you, the internet's on fire with this one. So this TikTok grandma says it's absolutely okay to want time away with the family you grew up with. Take a look at what she had to say.
Sometimes you just want time with your own kids, the ones you raised, the ones you survived life with, the ones you rocked through teething and heartbreak and their first apartment. That relationship deserves its own space too.
Why does it feel like
so
she's talking right to me?
Yeah, what do you guys think about this?
Listen, you know, it's the way she says it maybe rubs me the wrong way, but in theory, I get what she's saying. And every family's going to be different, obviously, because, you know, there are some people who are coming up against her and saying, you know what, when your son or daughter marries somebody, that person is also now part of your family, and I understand that. Where I do agree with her is that if there was a pre-existing tradition in a family that they would always do this, hopefully that would be communicated to the new son or daughter-in-law. But the way I look at this is the way that I look at travel. If you're lucky enough to travel, it should be memory making, it should be experience building, it should be bonding. And all I know is that as a woman, I am not just a wife, a mother, a friend, a daughter. I'm actually all of those things. And travel to me allows me to honor and nurture every single part of me. Therefore, a girl's trip with no husbands, you got it. If it's just a trip with me and my daughter, a mother-daughter trip without my husband, that's really beautiful.
But what if Ryan,
you know?
Ryan's mom is like, we're going on a trip,
Absolutely
I just want
fine.
me and my son.
No, absolutely fine with that. I recently did this with my own family last year, and my family and I don't get to travel a lot because we're all really, really busy. We all went to Portugal. It was me, my sister, my dad, and my mom. We hadn't done this in so long, and Ryan was like pushing me out the door. He goes, have so much fun. My parents are here for as long as they're here, and there is something about our family unit. We're really tight.
The original four.
But Ryan, I communicated it to Ryan, and if he wanted to do the same, I would of course happily oblige. It makes total sense.
What do you guys think?
I just think that like, I don't know. If my mom came to me and was like, we're gonna go on vacation and you must leave Mel behind, I think I would be gagged. Like, I think a dinner, sure, you know, a stay, sure, but if you're gonna go and do this, at least it's in my family, it would be wild to not bring my partner in as well.
I would say, like, you know, like my mother-in-law is going to take my daughter and my wife to London, and I was like, okay, have fun, but secretly I'm like, I want to go to London.
Wait, is she watching now? Can you please invite Miguel
Can
on
I
the
come
trip?
to London?
Yeah.
Cecilia, take me to London.
Yeah.
Please.
All right. Well, you go make a boys' trip. You go make a boys' trip.
He doesn't want
London?
that.
Telling us wherever.
Okay, all right.
Paris. Riley, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.